the bus.
All right, good people, we're back here for episode 2 of the BMF documentary, Blowing Money Fast. I didn't even realize it, but these episodes do have titles, and this one is titled Gangster Boogie. We're here to give you a little bit of review, a little bit of a recap, a little bit of just reaction to this thing, the things in this episode. All right, Lucas. Now, you know I love putting you on the spot here.
Clearly.
What gun? What gun was that Layton had?
I swore it was a 357, but it did that look. I don't know. It was one when they put it out the window. Said that's the biggest gun. One, them Jones is unnecessarily big, and it's only at 6 to 8 shots. But it looked like a little bit like a 357, a little bit like one, like a long barrel jump.
Yeah.
But it was like I couldn't imagine. I couldn't imagine being actually hit by someone shooting one of those.
Yeah.
I was about to say I couldn't imagine being shot at by one of those, but things happen. But I couldn't imagine being hit by one of those. But again, that's just a crazy ass story. Yeah. Because that's it actually highlights that, you know, the gangster, and I do love when dude said, you know, Meech wasn't a gangster. He wasn't no sucker. He just wasn't a gangster. Clearly he wasn't. You show up anywhere and you're not even armed. So you don't even perceive it necessarily as like it's a threat.
Yeah.
Like something didn't just happen that should have made you understand you need to be protected at all times, and to be caught out there like that. And then I do love that through that story and the story beforehand about my man's brother dying. And the reporter did, or the interviewer did his job by saying, so, you know, he died. And they're like, yeah, we ain't talking about that. Everybody was very adamant, like, no, we're not talking about that. Nah, we're not even getting into that one. It happened. That's all you need to know. When he asked my man, was you there? Nah, I wasn't there.
Yeah.
You're not going to turn me into a witness for the state 30 years later.
Yeah. Okay, so the first thing for me here, and talking about that scene, Roland, you know, his childhood friend, he said that Layton did not miss a shot, to the point that he didn't get shot at all because Meech was just eating them all. Yeah, okay, let's just say if he had about a 6 to 8 shot, so that means he got,
and that big ass gun is 6. Yeah.
So 6, we know 2 went to the neck, and then the rest went random alias places.
Probably a bunch in the arm because he's shooting through a car too.
Okay.
So probably a bunch through his arms. Along with the necks, they probably was grazing more than direct shot. If it was direct shot to the neck, he'd be dead. You're not surviving that. But like through the upper body, as long as you're not hitting your chest, you can take a couple to the thigh, you can take a couple to your arm, and stuff of that nature, and you can survive. As you say, you know, he was driving 3 days later, so that tells me, okay, cool. He didn't like direct shot through the neck, nah, but he may have hit it, and he may have grazed his neck. You know, I know a dude who was shot in his head, and he was back to work in like 4 weeks. Like, so it can happen that way, and from that close of a distance, it's not getting a full kick of the gun when that bullet is hitting you anyway. So, and then he's shooting through a car. So I can see you surviving it, but that's still a hell of a story to have.
Yeah. Definitely was like, oh, okay. Never knew anything about this. And what a story it is. And then he still had enough to be able to throw Roland out the window and drive off. What's the idea behind this? What do you think he was kind of
saving him?
Saving him from exactly what, though?
At that point, you don't know how many times this dude's going to shoot. You don't know what the hell's going to go on. Yeah. So if you my guy and I'm getting shot at that way, I don't want you to get hit.
Yeah.
So most likely I can see me pushing you out the car, or I need to distance myself from you, and you driving off with me ain't going to look good, because if this dude chasing after me, he's still going to be shooting.
Yeah.
I don't want nothing to happen to you. I need you to go and let me deal with this on my own. It's one of them things where your instincts take over, and your instincts to protect people take over.
Okay.
And you're like, man, I can't have nothing happen to you. because that weighs, in all honesty, in those type of situations, it weighs harder on you when you're involved in something that leads to somebody else being harmed.
Yeah.
I can take all them jokes for myself, take them on the chin. It is what it is. I know what I did, but I can't have something happen to you. And then me have to go back to your mom and say, hey, he was with me. That's why he died.
Yeah.
Nah.
Yeah. And listen, I'm really digging this so far because like the drama inside the drama here. I thought another funny moment was where we got to hear from Ed, and he talked about, hey, we rode with Ed for 3 years, which again, this points towards Pat, because once he kind of surpassed Pat, he was like, listen, we were trying to move up the scale, and Ed even said that, like, I raised them to be bosses, so of course I wanted them to make boss decisions. We know that Maserati had already been killed here, and I said again, it's the combination of the two of those people
that come across as Pat.
Yeah, comes across as Pat, because as I said, Maserati was like the one who was already established that everybody wanted to be after. Ed was the one that kind of brought him under wings, and that's sort of the combination of what Pat is. But what's interesting about this is my man Roland was just like, Ed wasn't tripping because he brought in 2 other suckers after him. Who is he talking about? I do not know.
I do not know. I think that's a different story altogether. Hey, but I mean, if Ed is smarter as a businessman, I mean, my business ain't gonna stop with you. I'm gonna find people behind you that can take your position, especially when you grow too big for me. Like I found it more interesting in that whole story when they go through it, when they talk about the biggest thing when they meet Lawrence, and then the Colombian Connect, and you gotta have Colombian Connect. That's how you was doing it. As White Boy Rick said, a key was going for 36. I think he said 36 in Detroit, and you could get it for 18 like in Miami.
Oh yeah,
so you're doubling up.
Yeah,
it's a story of someone of another show that we review.
Yeah,
Franklin is getting it 10 a key and was complaining about getting it 10 a key, and they up here thinking 16 is a deal, and we know Franklin is based off of of Freeway Rick Ross, who stated he was getting his for 10 a key. Do you know how ridiculous it would be? That the difference, like that's unbelievable.
Because we're in the same era here. If you notice by the opening graphics, they do point out other cities. You got Detroit. Got St. Louis, they show Miami, and all across on the other side they show Los Angeles. It is going. I have a feeling there will be a little bit of
Ross. He don't let his story go for nobody.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, wasn't there beef between BMF and him?
He was in jail at the time. They was really popping. I mean, Rick got out in 2009. So that's around the time where everything was going down a little bit for BMF, if I'm not mistaken. It's weird. But, Rick also had like 42 cities. Like he wouldn't. Rick was making $3 million a day.
Yeah.
Doing what he was doing. Like it's a different level of what Rick was doing versus what they were doing. But again, it was because of the connection.
Yeah.
Because Rick was getting it from us, the United States government.
I can't think of the name, but remember on the BMF series that T had to connect that Meech wanted to like be
the chick.
Yeah, the chick.
Yeah.
And she said, I'm not dealing with you. That's my guy. Talk about T. The dynamics of this is so different in what we're being told here, because we know that connect, obviously having to connect to the pipeline down in Miami has a lot to do with her, but not actually her, but him, as in Lawrence here.
A composite of characters. Again, you can't make them. You can't go real life with people because that's drawing way too much attention. So you make characters match the way they need to match here.
Yeah,
and clearly, what's her name? I wanted to call her Liliana so bad. That clearly is not the right show.
I cannot remember what her name was at all. I can't remember. I cannot remember. I guess we'll look it up in a second, or you all can let us know. But so difference in that
comparison of like you growing up and then you meeting someone else who can move more weight to you. As they said, they went from retail to wholesale. It's highly like that's a huge move. Most guys who are in that game will always be retail. Right. Wholesale is a completely different animal, a completely different beast. As white boy Rick said, I'm surprised more drug dealers don't die from heart attacks.
Right.
Because of the stress that comes along with it.
Right.
You got to watch your back from everybody trying to kill you. Then you got to watch your back from the feds. Like, when do you get that chance to breathe?
Right.
Like it's an interesting thing that he said there, because it puts perspective on everything that was happening between Meech and Terry, and then clearly pointing out Terry didn't have fun. Terry was strictly about business. Meech was the face of it all. So even when they said like people were going after Meech and leaving Terry alone, but you're leaving the guy who's actually running the business alone, because you're going after the figurehead, that the one that you think is doing it.
Yeah,
he's not. He's still involved. He's still part of that business, but he's the face of it. Yeah. And you forgetting the dude behind the scenes that's running everything. And you let him walk freely while you're trying to kill Meech. It's a crazy dynamic to have.
Yeah. Also, like, I mean, this episode really gets interesting because, like, even to that point of like, you know, you talked about when they had the scuffle inside the bar with Layton and his brother Elvis. Elvis gets shot by somebody. Elvis gets killed. Layton gets shot. You know, now has to wear a bag. And now he's just after Meech no matter what. And what's interesting really quick is because there was already a vendetta because of the same chick that they had, but obviously now he has vengeance for his brother. And at the same time, you know, T is just unbothered because he just is running the business and literally just doing everything out of the way. What's different about the series is that, well, we see that Lamar is definitely like, well, anybody can get it. You know, they done took my block.
Who it was. Yeah.
So and as we saw by that, I mean, the timelines here are completely different because this is where T gets shot, and then, you know, the whole situation with his eye, and this all happened before Meech decided he was going to leave the city, which we saw was the conclusion of the end of the season, where one of them is about to leave the city. Or did they say they're just getting ready to stop doing business with each other?
Stop doing business with each other.
Right. But is that supposed, and I guess, was that sort of the declaration of somebody leaving? And then before you even answer that, what's funny is that Ed is like, nah, Meech ain't leave the city. He, like you said, he said whoever said that rumor, you know, he ain't no gangster, but he ain't no bitch. He wouldn't have left the city when everybody else said that he left the city. Mom, sister, the agent.
Look here, you better know. You know what to say. You know what words to use, damn it. Stop playing. Meech left the city. I don't care what you say. Oh man, hey, it's again. Everybody understands you don't change your story now.
Yeah.
So if they say he left the city, he left the city.
Yeah.
And you can come back and say, nah, that ain't Meech. Meech ain't, as I said, Meech ain't no gangster, but Meech ain't no bitch. Like again, it also helps point out to people who think that all drug dealers are gangsters.
Yeah.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Some of these they're straight businessmen. Meech was a businessman. He understood what he needed to push. He understood how to do it. He understood the levels of what needed to be done. But he damn sure wasn't just gonna let you push him around. And I think that's the key part of him saying, like, man, Meech ain't leaving this city.
Yeah.
But, and you know, his mama said he left the city, so I'm gonna go with her word.
Oh man. So yeah, we got the introduction of Lawrence, who, you know, is the new homie, the new connect after they moved away from Ed. And
his brother, because that was his brother during the interview.
That was his brother, in the interview. Yeah. His brother's not really, I mean, it's weird because his brother's not actually inserting himself as relevance. He's speaking on his brother's behalf, and then his whole narrative changes the next time he's interviewed, where he started talking about like how you do things and stuff. I'm like,
hey, money changed you.
Yeah, that's the part.
He said, and I think money changed me. But all he said is money changed me. He didn't say I participated in a business that led to money changing me. Money changed me, man. You know, it's no secret of who his brother is and what his brother did. It may be a secret of whatever involvement he's in it. And again, that's why I love these type of docuseries, is because you do get people who will freely talk, but you know, they ain't doing these Vlad interviews where they out there just snitching on everybody and themselves. They're like, nah, we're not doing that. We will tell you the story, we'll tell you what happened, and then we will like move around certain things so we don't have to have those discussions.
Like me said, I ain't gonna even get into details or anything. It's dry snitching.
You're gonna have me dry snitching out here, and then right after me said that, we'll play next. You on call at a federal facility. It ain't, baby. If you say that on a call, it ain't dry snitching unless you're telling them you with your lawyer. Then that is confidential, but it ain't dry snitching. You snitched on tape. They got it.
Hey, you mentioned how much Rick Ross was making. I mean, they did mention how much these dudes were making. It was like only 6,000 or 7,000 a day, if it's considered.
So a bad day for them was 6,000-7,000. The Friday Saturday night was 20. That is, again, this is what, late 80s.
Yeah,
that ain't bad though. Like,
well,
let me say that ain't bad. Like, that's a little bit of money. That's a good. A bad day bringing you 6,000 ain't ever a bad thing. As my man Ed said, oh man, yeah, I was making millions. I was a millionaire. Again, when money is coming in so fast, you truly forget how much money you making. I don't think it's a drug dealer alive that can give you an accurate number of the amount of money they made.
Yeah.
So then you leave it to federal folks, and they'll just give you a number. And a lot of the numbers sound gigantic and huge to a lot of people. In all honesty, those numbers are probably close to what they were making. That's all they know they were making. I think it was a Jay-Z song where he talks about it, and he talks about his net worth, and he also says, that's exclude anything that happened before rap. Like, I came in the game with $1 million already. So just know I had money way before this. And that's the way they portrayed here. Because again, $6,000 for a bad day. Hey, I'll take that bad day right now.
all day, every day. I'm really enjoying Roland's perspective, and I had to look it up really quickly because I mentioned that Roland felt like who they the inspiration behind B Mickey, but Roland also was a character in his own in the BMF series, but B Mickey is definitely still a composite of Roland than the Roland that we see in BMF, and if that makes sense, because BMF in the BMF series, B Mickey is definitely like the third person in line, and then as they said, Ed was one of the founders of the 50 Boys. Right. But and then they say Roland was just a friend that was just there with them, but B Mickey seems to have qualities of Roland. He just, and maybe this is a way to protect your homie, where they were like,
hey. So again, because when you dramatize a series, you can have certain characters do certain things and not have to answer for them. So if this character B Mickey is out here murdering people, I got character Roland on the show. It ain't B Mickey. That's somebody else.
But as we put together, it's telling me that's like, no, this is B Mickey is a mixture of Roland and Derek. So you have
possibly other people. It's and then even with the mixture of people, you're still dramatizing things. You got to. It's a show. Again, this docuseries is not necessarily a show. This is telling you the story, so you're gonna get. And again, this is what people love. You get to see the real life characters, and you get to try to piece them together with the show. Like, who's this? Clearly, at this point, everybody know who Lamar is. You got the story, so you know who Lamar is based off of. But everyone else, it is these other characters that they're trying to piece it together. Like, hey, who's this person based off? Who this person based off of? What's this actual story? Now you're seeing these characters, and now they're doing just like what you're doing right now. Like, hey, is it based off of this one? Is it based off of this one? Like it's and then again, Roland's on the show. So is Roland B Mickey, or certain aspects of Roland's life is B Mickey because he was what he said, like a brother. Like that's my mom. Like, you ain't gotta ask that question.
And like, you have to, yeah, exactly. And you have to think that like Meech is trying to, by all means, put himself on the positive sides of accounts of things. And if he can protect his childhood friend who probably was out there doing whatever, I mean, listen, I'm just going to say what I think is happening here. I mean, no one wants to get in trouble here. So by all means, they want to tell a story, but also protect the integrity of the series, but integrity of their goddamn life and not snitch on anything.
There you go. So, man, Meech trying to get out, dog. Meech is on the other end of getting out. The last thing I'm going to do is tell my story, and then you attempt to use it again. We already see what's happening with Thug and Gunna. Like, you're not going to use my story against me to try to lock me up even longer. No, homie, we're going to tell this story. I'm just telling what happened. I'm not giving any more information than that.
Yeah.
So yes, it's a Roland and B Mickey's fake.
I still think I still think the Coney Island joint of them not having guns is funny. I think that's entirely funny.
It's that part I can understand in a way. Just because if you don't think you're actually threatened by anybody, as White Boy Rick said, after he was shot, folks then start like, oh shit, maybe we should be like protecting ourselves. Like, maybe this is a little serious now.
Cap, ain't no way you're making that much money, jewelry, and you don't think in cars, and you're like, man, we should get straps.
I ain't gonna lie to you. Back at a certain time period, you know, carrying a gun wasn't the biggest thing. You didn't really think about it that way. Especially if you think you're the man in your city. Like, I ain't gotta be armed. People know better than to approach me. And if you go around with that mentality, like, you could get caught slipping.
Listen,
it's plenty of stories of folks getting caught slipping, and they like, dude, I got caught out there. Normally we see them run in movies and stuff. They be like, man, I done got caught out there. I ain't got no piece on me. I ain't got nothing on me. I thought everything was cool. It's normally when you think everything cool, and you're like, I'm not in a situation where I need to have a gun, so I ain't gonna carry nothing with me. I'm good, man. Let me go meet my boy, smoke a J real quick. And we relaxing. As he said, we were just here chilling. Who the hell chills at a convenience store parking lot?
Bro, listen. Y'all done shot my man brother, because they ain't gonna name that person.
Someone shot his brother and shot him.
And absolutely everybody knows. Here's how this works. Everybody knows who shot Elvis and killed Elvis and shot, by the call him Lamar, Layton, and then you don't think they have a gun. So cool. So then the next thing you're like, all right, well, I'm tired of running for him, so I'm just gonna just be a G and just chill out, because you know, ain't no way he gonna be looking for me. He's already looking for me before, but now he's no way to look for me now that he got shot and his brother got shot. And they know that, like, we had beef with each other. So if there's anybody that has an answer, it's got to be the top dog. And why would I not look for the top dog if I'm the top dog? You know, I'm just gonna chill inside the joint. And this whole bit of heroicism from Meech, and like, granted, everybody, and it seems to be a very standard account that Meech did not touch guns. That wasn't his thing, and I'm sure that's gonna be the thing until he get out of jail too. But Meech was basically like, well, I don't carry guns and I ain't scared of this dude, so I'm just gonna hold my arm up and take these bullets and throw my man out the door. And I done did some heroicism, and then I peacefully cooperated with the cops as they said, get out the car. Oh man, I'm bleeding. And then they sent me to the hospital. And then he also did not snitch or press charges on it.
They didn't. The only reason why them having a weapons could be believable, because he shot that car how many times?
6 max.
No shots. and there are no accounts of his car being shot at that same exact time. If it's 2 guns in there, if you think you getting off 6 shots without getting more than that back at you, it would be something. So I think the gun thing is them caught slipping. Yes, it's kind of heroic. He did, you know, he did his Captain America with the shit. Yeah, pushing that on the car. That's kind of heroic. But again, it's nothing that doesn't ring true about Meech.
Yeah.
I think it would be different if it was someone who people acknowledge. Because through this whole time, and not just in the series, and not just in this docuseries in the first 2 episodes, from everything I've ever heard about Meech beforehand, this dude, he was a businessman before he was anything else.
Hey, listen,
if you moving like a businessman, you know what they don't carry too often? Guns. Like, they just don't think they have to. But he had, I believe, this is the incident that leads him to have the muscle around him, because that's what changed about Meech, is that he started having like, okay, I ain't got to do it, but that don't mean I can't have people around me that will be there to protect me and my family.
Also, security was a flex, though, especially in that era. You had to. There was a whole thing of like rolled up with security. That's like a whole persona you put on. But I will say this though, I'm just gonna call it what it is. Roland is a character witness right now. That's it. And when it's all said and done, Roland will be the one that said like, "Yeah, Meech never had a gun. You know, he got shot. He didn't even retaliate. You know, he protected me. You know, even in the situation where his arch nemesis brother got killed, he didn't feel like he ever had to like hide or retaliate. So he just hung outside of a convenience store, and then like, oh, the big bad wolf, boogeyman, Layton pulled up boy.
He came up. We was just chilling, smoking. We weren't bothering nobody. All officers, we weren't bothering nobody. He just came up and started shooting at us. We didn't know why. He was so mad. Like,
can I tell you something that's so funny right now? We got to end the review because we're getting close to 30 minutes. Listen, there's one thing that has been 1-for-1 in copying from the series to the documentary, and that is clearly how bad Layton was. That's it.
Yes.
Everything else is questionable right now. That's the one thing I'm saying. Like, oh, it's all Layton's fault. Layton will try to be his ticket out of jail right now.
I would say it's gonna be the case until you get to episode 3, because that teaser at the end of episode 2.
Oh yeah, the legend Jack Harvey. Tell you what,
let's just say, if it's gonna be someone who's gonna counter any accounts of what they saying, it's gonna be him. He would be the one to say, "Nah, Meech had a gun. He shot at the car 18 times." Like, he would be that person to come in and contradict their entire story. So again, we'll see what happens. That's all I'm saying. Like, till then, I'm willing to ride with me. You know, Meech is innocent.
Fair enough.
My brother, black men don't cheat or shoot guns. What you talking about?
That's right. Hey, last thing I want to ask you, they talked about their motivation for their style, and everything came from Yo MTV Raps, which they emulated anything Big Daddy Kane or Run, you know, and that's where they emulated in order to what they saw on there is what they got. Tells you just how influential rap and hip hop was to everything for years. And even before they even thinking about music, they always had means of wanting to be a music
rapper. And growing up in that time period, man, anything on your team. I remember, we were poor growing up. I remember what led to certain negative things happening. Like, you wanted to be like the rappers out there. You know, I wanted the cross colors. I wanted the triple fat goose, the Eddie Bauer tech jump.
You already know.
Third things in. You know what I mean? Like, you wanted that. You would get that from the videos. It sells a lifestyle to you that they getting it. And if they getting it, I need to get it. And that's what Meech and Terry did.
That's it. All right, let's end this review, folks. Let us know your thoughts about this episode. You know, obviously we want to keep a theme of you all comparing and contrasting to the series, things that were really fascinating or stood out to you. You know, just moments of this, if you know the BMF story, moments that you may not have heard of before, or something that kind of stood out to you. Let us know all of that in the comments. And as always, we're back next week for episode 3. Thank you for tuning in.